you. Let's turn now to politics. And joining me is the member for Flinders, Zoe McKenzie. A lot to talk about. You've got the Dunkley by-election just a couple of days out. Not exactly what the government wanted with this news out of Victoria. Victoria Police charging one of those high-risk detainees that were released last year.
Yeah, so one of the NZYQ detainees who were released, it sounds like yet another one has been charged with sexual offences today. Again, 48 hours from the by-election in Dunkley, a reminder once again that Labor is not doing enough to keep people safe, particularly on the back of, various other discussions that, cost of living remains front and centre, but equally, local safety, community crime, those sorts of things are pretty front of mind too. So it's just another reminder that things aren't going as they should be.
The Prime Minister has referred to the Advance Australia campaign in Dunkley. He's obviously been critical of it, but that campaign feeds into exactly this sort of issue about the detainees. Where are they? What are they doing? And now we see this sex offender with allegations that he's perpetrating his crimes again.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're up to, 39, 40 now that have been charged since their release of the cohort of 149 who were all released under that NZYQ.
And they're not just breaches of visas we're talking about?
No, they're not breaches of it. Most of them are not. I think the minority is like 8 or 9 that are breaches of visas and the rest are actual offences. So, but again, still to our knowledge, no one's wearing an ankle bracelet, no one's being detained. The detainee provisions that we had to get through the Parliament late last year haven't been applied either. So, yes, and I think, I can't recall, but I do think those advanced billboards are going to precisely this notion of community safety and what people are right to expect. But equally, there's plenty out for Nathan espousing all his wonderful qualities. So let's see how that plays on Saturday.
So Nathan Conroy, your candidate in Dunkley.
Yeah.
What are you picking up from the booths or the pre-poll booths?
Yeah, so he's hugely popular. Nathan's so well known. To be selected by your peers to be mayor 3 years in a row is remarkable. Certainly never happened, not happened in my time in the Mornington Peninsula. We get 1 year and then we move on to someone else. So Nathan, re-elected time after time after time. He's been in that region for years. His wife, Steffi, grew up in Carrum Downs and they fell in love when they were young and she brought him back to that beautiful region. So he knows it really well and there's a warmth for him, which is really manifest when you're on the pre-poll. I dropped in and saw him on Saturday and
so
they were going really well.
There?
I think he can get there, but I'm just mindful of maths, right? Politics is maths. And in terms of the margin at 6.3, Peter was rightfully very popular. The margins, the swings in by-elections, particularly when there's been the death of a local member, they're not high. They're in the 2% rate. And particularly in Victoria, my home state, against a Labor government, the swing's never more than about 1.5%. So there's a huge straddle, a huge stride to be made in terms of the margin. But he looks great. I mean, he sounds great. He's fantastic when he's talking to people. He knows his stuff. And so he's a really compelling candidate. We're very lucky to have him.
Do you see this as maybe a two-stage strategy, that if there is a 4 or 5% swing on Saturday, that then it's in striking distance come the election next year?
Well, the thing I loved about seeing Nathan on Saturday, man, he's full of energy. Normally that 1 week out from the poll, you're like, you're exhausted, but he's still full of beans and excitement. So I'm really hoping that will carry him through if he doesn't get up on Sunday, but I'm still hoping he does get up on Sunday. But if he doesn't, I really hope he'll be our candidate next time around.
And you mentioned the cost of living pressures. It is, we've discussed it many times, but it's clearly the main game. The government's tried to get the focus on the tax cut relief and so on ahead of the vote on Saturday. I would imagine that this story that's emerged out of the Herald Sun in the last hour will probably dominate, at least for the next
Look, I think people have got a good understanding of how Labor's measures are failing them. So 1, on safety, of course. 2, on cost of living. Yesterday we were looking at the Help to Buy bills. Those Help to Buy bills will not help anyone in my electorate. They won't help buy property because it's over the threshold. And you need to make about $220,000 today just to buy a house, the median price of which is 1.13. So, giving with one hand, taking with the other, cost of living, electricity prices up 30%, it all dissipates pretty quickly.
It does indeed. Zoe McKenzie, thanks. We'll stay in touch. We'll talk to you next week and we'll know what that Dunkley vote is by then.